Hello, in this video I'm going to take the time to show you how to disassemble the 510 and even go as far as stretching the spring if you need to. So first thing I want to tell you is I'm not using a fully assembled avalanche here. I actually am not even using the bottom feeding 510. I'm just using the regular one, but this is a beater that I had laying around. It doesn't matter that it's not the bottom feeding 510 just for the sake of demonstration. So let's just look at the tools that you'll need to do this. None of these tools are specialty tools with maybe the exception of a coiling rod, which is, I'm guessing, you already have. So to get the 510 out, you will need a driver. This is a 1/4 inch driver. You do need this, a little bit of a shaft on your driver to do this. You will need a 12 millimeter deep socket. Okay, it has to be the deep socket, so that means this is the socket so that it can clear the guts. And then a coiling rod. Some parts that you may need are a pair of pliers and an Allen key. I'm sorry, I don't know the measurements on the specs on this Allen key, but it's just one that you can use on a 510, and you'll see how that works in a moment. So first thing we need to do is we need to get out the 510 connector. So again, I don't have the bottom feeding connector in here, but that is not important for the sake of this demonstration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 12 millimeter socket and I'm going to put it inside of the mod. Then yours will have a plug here. You'll want to take out the contact and the plug. Then you can take this and put it in like this, and then you can unscrew. Okay, now you just pull this out and drop this out, and you have your nut here. Okay, and so should be able to remove the 510 at this stage. So let's check. Yes, we can. All right, so now we are just left with the 510. So now let's start to disassemble this 510. Okay, so the first thing is you'll notice, like any 510, there is a space there for an Allen key. Now this may look like it is for a manual adjustment 510, but that is actually there so that we can tighten down this nut so that it does not spin freely. So yours may be like mine where you can actually just unscrew it with your finger, but if it's still tight like it should be, or like it would have been from the factory, you may need to unscrew this using your pliers and the Allen key. Okay, so mine's loosened now, so I'm going to take off this nut, and I'm going to be very careful because this thing goes flying, and if you lose it, then you're kind of SOL. All right, now the next thing, let me zoom in here. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to spin this collar. And when we spin this collar, there's going to be a spring inside. So again, make sure that you're working on a surface where these kind of things can sort of fall out. Okay, so I'm going to untwist this. Okay, and as you saw, it kind of jumped off there a little bit because there is a spring inside. And then we have the spring. Okay, so while we're in here, I'll also show you some of the other parts. This is, I actually don't know what the name of this is. It's I guess the 510 pin. And you can see that because this is, you can see that there is an O-ring in here to prevent leaking into the mod. We also see this peak insulator. Now, it just depends. This one, it's pretty hard to get out, but this actually does unscrew this way. I would not recommend taking it out unless either A, it unscrews by itself, or B, you absolutely have to. But generally, if this stays inside when you unscrew, just leave it there. Okay, so I'm going to take this and put it back because it's not really important that we work on this right now. All right, and then what is important is I'm going to show you how to restretch the spring. So I'll try my best to let you see what it looks like right now. Let's see if I have a ruler here. So this ruler is in millimeters, and so I guess we can check to see how big this spring is, because this is actually a stock spring from the factory, unused, so we can get a sense of how long it is. I'm sorry, I'm doing this on camera, so it's a little bit hard. It looks like it's about 6 millimeters tall, 6 millimeters tall. So you can check that and see if maybe that's, make sure that the spring is still nice and springy. All right, so let's pretend that I checked this spring and I see, I don't know, it's 4 millimeters tall or something, and maybe it's losing some of its spring. So the springs won't last forever, but we can try to get a little bit more life out of the spring. So I have a coiling rod here. This coiling rod only goes up to 3.5. I believe this is 4 millimeters in diameter, but it's not necessarily important that we, have the perfect diameter. All right. So I'm going to put it. So now I'm going to stretch the spring. I'm going to put this on the coiling rod, and I'm going to take my 2 fingers and I'm just going to pull it apart. Okay. And I could definitely check using my ruler again to see if we got a little bit more distance out of it. If we manage to make it a little bit taller. I don't think I didn't try too hard on this one, just because, like I said, it's nothing wrong with it. So anyway, now that we've stretched our spring out, we're going to put it back. Okay, so we take it and we just put it around this here, and then we screw this in. Now, there is one little caveat, and I have to see if I can replicate it. And it's going to be very hard to see on camera. So anyway, when you put this cap on, just screw it down a little bit so that it's, it just is catching, and then you want to take a look. So it's hard to see on camera. I think you can kind of see it here. So if you look right here, you can see that the spring is caught in between this piece and this piece here. So it may be, so you just want to check it for that. And if that happens, there is a way to kind of do it, but it's hard on camera. It's better to just kind of keep trying, try again until you get it. It may take you a few times. Okay, so I'm looking here now, and the spring is not caught in there. So now I'm going to screw this all the way down. Okay. And when I get down to here, I'm going to make sure that it's fairly tight. But again, it's like finger tight. I'm kind of just tightening it as much as I can, without like putting all my effort into it. I don't want to do that. Just kind of nice and snug. Okay. Then you are ready to put this back on. So if you just put it back on like this, and you just screw it down, if you can see, right, if I twist this now, this is not tightening, it's just twisting that pin inside. So if you don't tighten this will tend to fall down, and it will make the mod fire weakly and fire weaker. And if it falls too far low, it will not even fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Allen key, and I'm going to take my wrench, and I'm just going to tighten it down. You can actually do this with your fingers if you need to too. Okay, so now my 510 is ready to go back in the mod. I'm going to put it back in the mod, put my contact back on, and then I'm going to use my 12 millimeter socket drive to put everything back. All right, so I hope that tells you everything that you need to know about disassembling the 510 connector. Thank you.